A classic horror story, new Italian film available on Netflix. As you may guess by the title, it is in fact a horror, although the word classic in the title is just as much truth as it is misdirection. The film opens with five strangers carpooling together in a camper to get to Calabria in the south of Italy. On the way there, they have an accident in the middle of the night. The van goes off road, hits a tree. When everybody wakes up the next morning, it seems like they're in a completely different place. A large clearing in the middle of a forest with an ominous looking wooden cabin, but no road inside. Any attempt to leave the place inevitably ends up with the characters circling back. And checking out the cabin's interior reveals that it is probably being used by some weird cultist locals who worship these mysterious demonic entities and need to present them with sacrificial offerings. You can kind of guess where it goes from there until you can't in this particular case, because the movie is in fact a very classic by the book horror film until it isn't, until the third act when it suddenly pivots and becomes something else. And I won't say exactly what happens, but let's just say that it builds a box for itself and then it deliberately steps outside of it. It breaks the wall, becoming a sort of meta commentary on the genre of horror, on film industry and filmmakers as artists, and on the audience's expectations and behaviors, especially specifically in Italy. And really the film stands on this pivot and its execution. Now, I think that it's unfortunately flawed. It goes in an interesting direction, but appears not to be fully thought out. There are things that still make no sense, and things that are just extremely weird in the context of the film and not fitting the general premise even after that third act reveal. And on top of that, when the film ends, it has a sort of quick epilogue scene which is just way too on the nose. It tries to be too clever for its own good, and it pretty much ruins the ending. I thought it falls flat. So there is a good movie somewhere here. I mean, the performances are fine, some of the cinematography is pretty great. There is one moment which strongly resembles Midsommar in the best way possible, but it just seems unpolished, not really executed well all the way through. And unfortunately, all those flaws prevented the movie from being good, in my opinion. I still enjoyed myself somewhat, I'll be honest, but it's this annoying feeling watching a movie that you know could be good and being able to spot those very obvious things that could have been improved or done differently, but for some reason weren't. So at the end of the day, the movie as a whole was just average for me.